What's up, guys? My name is Joe Walsh, and I've got an incredible story to tell you about how a brand new, upfitted, totally ready to ride, rockin' 2015 KTM690 ended up in this garage. I'm based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and my wife, Christine Homer, and Alan Stillwell, Stillwell Performance, collaborated over a 4 to 5 month period of time to really bring my dream to a reality. I've been looking at a KTM690 for about the last 4 to 5 years and really wanting to put it somewhere between dirt bikes and really the big adventure bikes. And I just couldn't justify the investment at that point in time. It's something I've been talking about for a really long time, but I just couldn't figure out, when was I going to make the investment. I just kept pushing it off. I just kept largely kicking the can down the road and talking about it. So we were in Telluride over the summer, my wife and I were, and we were seeing a whole bunch of KTM 690s just tearing up all of western Colorado. It was absolutely amazing. And I guess my wife just got sick of hearing me talk about it. We both have GSs and we were cruising around, but the 690s were just dominating the entire western slope, and it was really amazing to see those things and what they can do. So, for me, I just kind of considered it a luxury purchase. So when I left there, my wife actually contacted Alan Stillwell, and knowing that Alan had really been instrumental in getting me back into riding in 2004 after a 6 to 7 year period of no riding and having nothing to do with two wheels in my life. Alan and my wife conspired at that point in my life to really get me back into riding and back onto two wheels and really enjoying something that I had left from when I left motocross. I just figured if I didn't race, why ride? And I didn't realize that there was so much more that could be enjoyed on two wheels that had nothing to do with racing. Much safer, by the way. And since then, it's become my number one passion in life. And that has a lot to do with, obviously, my wife, Christine, and Alan. He actually went and personally got my bike in 2004. It was a CRF 250 that he was buying for himself, and I bought one for myself. And it was amazing that he actually went and picked it up and literally got me back into riding and showed me how to ride trails when I was still kind of trying to blitz everything and ride it like a motocross track. So I'm forever thankful for Alan for bringing this back into my life. So it was really kind of amazing that my wife reached out to Alan. And of course, I've had all my suspension done by Alan ever since then. Even the bikes behind me have all been done by Stillwell Performance. They're amazing at doing the suspension. Best I've ever had from any place I've ever had my suspension done. And so I've had a relationship with Alan ever since 2004 when, I've had numerous bikes go through his shop, and they always come back, and they're just amazing in terms of how the suspension is set up. So Christine reached out to Alan, knowing he was a really good friend of mine, and said, how do we get a 690 into our household? Which turned out to be a pretty big deal because there are only 5 690s left in the country for sale. These things are really hard to come by, and I'm sure you guys know that if you're interested in it. So Christine and Alan actually conspired, and I'll say it that way because I had no idea they were working on this. Alan even called me 2 or 3 times just to kind of catch up and talk about different bikes, and was asking me about my BMW and asking me about different dirt bikes, and really finding out what I was missing and why I'd even want a 690 in the first place without ever really asking me about the 690. So he did a really great job of not tipping me off. I had no idea this was coming at all. In fact, there were many times between August and December of 2015 that I almost pulled the trigger and bought a 690 myself. And my wife and Alan were going back and forth, kind of freaking out because they were in the process of buying one in Texas, having it moved to Arizona. And then Alan spent, a number of months putting a bunch of aftermarket parts on and really putting a kit suspension on this bike. Absolutely amazing amount of work and collaboration to really bring this bike and make it a reality. So I wanted to just first give you the background and context of why this is such an important and such an amazing story to me. That first of all, to know that they were working so hard to give me something that is, of course, not something necessary in life, but something that truly means so much to me, and something I probably would have never done for myself. It's something I would have probably pushed off for maybe ever. And what makes this especially important, and kind of in full disclosure, is I have a health condition that probably 4 to 5 years from now will prevent me from being on two wheels. So I have this window of time that if I don't actually use the window of time, I may not be able to ride in the future. And Alan and Christine of course knew this when we were in Telluride, felt like that window, because it's closing, she's no longer willing to wait and not allow me to experience this incredible joy that I get from being on two wheels. And I also still spend a lot of time at the motocross track, and Alan and Christine talked about the potential of getting me on a 690 because it will get me off the motocross track and more onto the dirt roads and really amazing terrain that we have all here in the western states. And that just keeps me safer, and maybe even extends the number of years that I can ride because it's not as hard on my body. There's less risk of a catastrophic crash. And even if you do crash, the consequence of crashing in that scenario versus motocross is a little bit more tolerable and not as high consequence. So, I mean, they were very, very thoughtful in actually why this bike made sense, not just to surprise me, but very thoughtful for my health and wellness, and of course my enjoyment. So I'm going to give the time over to Christine and let Christine explain to you what the process was like in working with Alan, and then we'll talk about the bike itself and even how it fits into this garage in terms of, you know, fitting between the dirt bike and the 1200 GS. So my sincere thanks to, of course, my wife who funded it, worked on it with Alan, and really kept this whole thing a secret from me and surprised me just before Christmas. There are almost no words that I can find to fully express my appreciation for these two people in my life who obviously care about me without limits and are willing to go to almost no limit to show that for me. So I'm forever grateful and humbled.
Hi, I'm Christine Homer, and I'm here to tell you the story of the 690 sitting behind me. It is my husband's bike, and only thanks to Alan Stillwell at Stillwell Performance. So there was no one else I could think of who would be a better resource for me in moving this forward other than Alan. And I secret messaged Alan on Facebook and said, hey, on the down low, what is the possibility that you can help me purchase a 690 and get it all kitted up for Joe, because Joe's been talking about wanting to ride the Continental Divide. Alan got super excited about the project and said, let me get right on it. And I didn't hear from him for a couple of weeks because what I didn't realize is that there were only 7 KTM690s for sale in the entire United States. It's a really good thing I invited Alan to the party because I needed him desperately to first secure the bike for me, which he did. And on October 2nd, I spoke with a wonderful guy, Brian, and we worked the deal to get the KTM purchased in Texas. Then I needed to get it insured, so I had to make a secret insurance policy and have the bike shipped to Alan. And then from there on, he really took the reins and ran with it with his team. We had an agreement that he would let me know when he was purchasing parts or he was moving forward with aspects of the bike. And I would get a call from Mary. They had my credit card on file, and they basically just let me know what was happening and that I was going to have a charge coming against my card. And that's something that you have to really trust a business partner with when you're just giving them free access and basically a pretty sizable budget to move forward and create the perfect bike. So Mary and I would stay in touch, and I felt like she was part of the family. And then meanwhile, Alan and I would Facebook and we would email back and forth, and he would send me progress updates and tell me how excited the team was about working on the bike and how excited he personally was because he knew that he was building the perfect bike for Joe. And he was able to complete the bike and get it in perfect running condition. The only challenge we had was we were going to actually invite Joe to the shop and have him ride the bike back, and the snow fell in Salt Lake. So he was not able to ride back, and we just had to pull the trigger and let him know in the end of December or Christmas week that the bike was complete and that it was his to come and pick up.
So now let's talk a little bit about the bike itself. This is a 2015 KTM 690 Enduro, of course, and a sweet bike. Really tough bikes to find. So I wanted to show you a couple things on it that Alan did it to set it up really for me and just make this thing perfect. In fact, he did all the things I would have done for this bike just for myself if I had actually bought it and torn it down myself and just done it up for myself. And he did some things that were probably above and beyond what I would have done because I would have never treated myself to it, but I know I'll take full advantage of it. So the first thing is he put on this piece of the luggage, the tank bag. It's a KTM, hard parts product, and probably exactly perfect for what I'm going to use it for. Allows you to stand up, really well designed, and fits in the bike perfectly, comes off real easily. And then because I've got other bikes, and we'll cover that in a second, he knew that I didn't need the panniers on the back. This is actually just a tail bag. If I'm going to go overnight or something like that, I can just throw some stuff in there. And it's got this really cool thing. You can just take it off here with this little cord, and the whole thing just pops off, and it becomes a backpack that you can walk away with. So really simple, really easy. Pretty amazing stuff and really well designed. And then you don't have this monstrosity on the back of the bike with all those big plates and everything else that can really hurt you. So he's kind of dressed it up a little bit, put on some parts in terms of, you can see some of the rim strips, and certainly some orange parts, some carbon fiber that actually makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm not wearing off things there, or with my boot actually wearing there, that makes a ton of sense there. The other thing that probably you all know Alan for is where I probably would not have treated myself, and I'm so appreciative for what he has actually done. Alan has done the suspension on all of my bikes since he opened Stillwell Performance a number of years ago. And if you look closely, you're going to see that this suspension is coated, and Alan will give you all the details as what the coatings are, but this is coated on the top tube, of course, inside and out, and then coated on the bottom tube as well. And then, of course, he's got all the seals in there that make this thing slide real easy. It's valved 100% for the way I'm going to ride this thing. He had actually worked me over pretty good on a call, so he would know exactly how it was going to work, ride a bike like a KTM690. So pretty impressive stuff. I'm actually really psyched to ride this thing. There's no stiction at all. I've actually been on the bike just bouncing it up and down, and I can't wait to ride this thing and just hammer it down fire roads. The back as well, if you look at the rear suspension, he's actually coated it as well. I mean, really just cool stuff. I mean, that is more than I've even done to my full-on motocross bikes. That's coated all the way down, so really, really tricks that up. Really appreciate the detail that Alan put into this, and again, the back is completely valved for my weight as well as the way I'm going to ride. When I saw Alan, we actually took some time and made sure we had the sag set up right for this bike, and I just can't wait to actually get on this thing and crank it around. In terms of the other things we did, Alan talked to me on the phone, and this, again, I had no idea he was doing this, but he kind of, in just interviewing me and talking to me about how I was going to use it, he knew that there'd be some late nights, so he actually put on a much better light on the front. The stock headlight is probably one of the areas of weakness for this bike, and put on a much better light. And what he suggested is, try it first, and then I may want to actually put on a little windscreen. And I found out that if I take the windscreen from the Duke, the Super Duke specifically, it bolts right onto this thing. So that's something that I'll consider after I ride it a few times. And then engine-wise, the bike's probably totally fine for what I need it to do. But just to open it up and help it breathe a little bit, Alan changed the intake and just put on, I believe it's a K&N air filter, just to help it breathe a little bit better. And then, of course, the high-end, ultra premium, can't wait to actually get this thing rocking and rolling, Akrapovic exhaust system. I just cannot wait to get this thing ripping. So these are great exhausts for this bike in particular. Does not need to be remapped as far as I know, and so I've already checked the dealer, and they said it does not need to be remapped at this point. So I'm actually pretty psyched about all of this, and I've not changed the gearing at this point in time. I got to actually kind of ride it and see what type of riding I'm going to do. Because I've got dirt bikes, I probably won't have this thing on tight single tracks. That makes no sense with a dirt bike sitting in the garage. But for the type of stuff I'm doing, I'm going to try stock gearing, and pretty easy enough to change the front sprocket if necessary, and probably not even need to change the rear chain and sprockets to try out some different gearing. So I'll go from there. And you can see Alan's kind of blinged it out a little bit, put on some of the orange hard parts from KTM. He also put on some heated grips. And of course the hand guards. So I'm really, really looking forward to riding this bike. Again, what I really appreciate about this is Alan took the time to really think through kind of what I was going to do with the bike, how it fits in with the rest of the garage, and of course went over the top with the suspension for me, because he knows that I will use it. He knows that I will abuse this bike. He knows that I will take advantage of it, and it's such a treat because I kind of view it as my wife got me something I would have never treated myself to. With the A-Kit suspension, and I just cannot wait to get on this bike. I'm psyched. So when I was in Arizona and walked into Alan's shop, saw the bike, I was absolutely blown away, of course, and I knew I was coming in to see the bike and knew that we were coming in to pick it up. We had the trailer with us and everything else, and it was still such a surprise to see it the way Alan had set it up, and it was just so great to see Christine and Alan connect after working over the phone and via text messages for 3-4 months, and to see them connect and reminisce and what they had to go through to make it happen was really wonderful. But an additional surprise that was so above and beyond any expectation, and again, one more surprise I didn't even see coming, was this this climb gear. And this is the top of the line climb gear that my wife surprised me with. and Alan, of course, hooked us up with. And they presented this to me as part of the overall package to make sure that I was safe. And of course, you know, safe is all relative, but at the same time, this is as good as you can buy gear. I like that it's high visibility, and they got Christine broke into my closets of my other gear and checked out my sizes and everything else, and it's perfectly sized, fits perfectly. Again, it's hard to express my words of appreciation and gratitude for what Christine and Alan have done to make this a reality, and I cannot wait to put this stuff on, open the garage door, get the stinking snowblower out of the way, and blaze down the street and find some dirt so I can actually send you guys some videos that you're really looking for and you can see this thing in action.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Stillwell Performance Team. Keep it big.